What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Top Dogs podcast here on the Field of 68 Media Network. My name is Rob Doster. I'm coming to you live from a hotel room in Lexington, Kentucky. It is currently 6 a.m. I have about an hour before I have to catch a flight. I got back to my hotel at about 1 a.m. last night, and I watched the whole game. I fired it up on Synergy. I watched the whole game. I was thinking about trying to record something last night, and I was just too tired. You can tell my eyes are blurry, my face is puffy, my voice is hoarse. I literally have 2 cups of coffee right here with me. It was a rough travel day getting down here yesterday. I don't think I even said it on After Dark last night, but I was flying from Philly to Lexington trying to fly through the snowstorm. Flight got canceled. I had a direct into Lexington. Flight got canceled. So I was supposed to be booked on a flight to Cincinnati and then have to drive down to Lexington. But I found something else going through Atlanta that got me into Lexington earlier. So I made it here. I finally got settled in my hotel room about 4:30, and it took me about 20 minutes to kind of get changed, take a quick shower, and then head straight over to the arena. So it's been a whirlwind since I got here. Haven't had a chance to slow down yet, but here we are. Coming off of another UConn win. Now, I wanted to make sure I got something for you guys in the podcast feeds and up on YouTube before the day started, so the people driving to work might be able to have something to listen to because that last night was just such an incredible performance. I was locked into it. If you go back and you watch After Dark from the start, right? The way that we have it set up is that you got the camera up here that you're above you, in front of you that you're using to kind of film the show, and I run it through my laptop. And I would normally have my laptop set up as a monitor where you can kind of see the screen, you can see the show. It's going to be replicated on there so that I can see if there's any, there's a graphic that is up or we have an interview going or things of that nature, right? And what I had set up last night was I had that in a little corner, and then I had the UConn game in the other corner, in a different window open up on the browser. So I was trying to watch that while we were going on the show. And if you look, you're going to keep seeing me look like this and look down to the right and look down to the right and look down to the right. And the reason I did that is because that's where I had the monitor set up. So I was trying to be inconspicuous while watching the end of that game, and I was not inconspicuous at all. It looked kind of bad. So it is what it is, man. Sometimes you got to be able to watch UConn when you want to watch UConn when you're trying to talk about Kentucky and their performance. Rupp Arena, by the way, like if you guys haven't been, I'm telling you, that's one of those bucket list ones. I'm hoping that we can get a UConn Kentucky home and home one day, just so that's something that UConn fans can come down and experience. Because when it's good and when Kentucky is rolling, the atmosphere in that place is unbelievable. Um, it can be a little bit like of a blue hair kind of a situation where it's they don't have a very big student section, and they do seat 24,000 people in there, and a lot of times some of the lower bowl and seats closer to the court can be a little bit of an older crowd that is less crazy, but they understand the moments when they are supposed to get loud. They know how to get really loud, and they know how to back their team, and it truly is a an unbelievable venue. So if you ever have a chance to get down here to Rupp Arena, make sure you get a chance to get down here to Rupp Arena. But anyway, let's get back to you. You can tell I haven't had enough coffee yet because I'm completely off track already, and we're what, 4 minutes into this. Um, yeah, I needed that sip. So if I would have told you before last night that UConn was playing at Creighton, a building they had never won in, a team that they were 2-8 against since coming to the Big East, against Ryan Kalkbrenner, where Samson Johnson played 11 minutes. Terrace Reed played 15 minutes because of foul trouble. Haas played 8 minutes and was more or less entirely ineffective because it does not look like his knee is still attached to his body. Alex Karaban was 0 for 7 from three. And Solo Ball was 4 for 15 from the floor and 0 for 4 from three. How much would you have guessed that UConn would have lost by? 20, 25 in Omaha on dollar beer night? It would have been a blowout. It would have been ugly. It would not have been something that you would have wanted to have watched for probably into the second half, except for the fact that there is a young man named Liam McNeely who exists and who, I said it last night, best freshman off of last year's Mount Verde Academy team. Um, there's that was one of the most special performances that I can remember. It is probably the single best performance that we've seen out of a UConn player during this kind of 3 year run. It's the UConn did not have anyone score more than 31 points during their either of their championship runs. Jordan Hawkins had 31 against St. John's during the 22-23 season, and obviously Tristan Newton last year at the Fog Allen Fieldhouse had 31 points in a loss as well. But McNeely was unbelievable. This is a crazy stat. He is one of just three freshmen to be able to score 38 points, have 10 rebounds, and make five threes in a game. Liam McNeely, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant did it three times. That is unbelievable. He was so dominant, and um, he I told you before the game started that UConn was going to need him to have a big game because of the way that Creighton defends, right? Because they like to play that super deep drop, because they're able to go over screens and kind of funnel guys into the paint. You need people that are going to be willing to get to about 8 feet from the rim and make a floater, to be able to go and figure out a way to finish over or around Ryan Kalkbrenner, to be able to take it. I keep saying it, but those 2-on-1 advantage situations for the people listening. Um, I'll explain it again. Basically, what that means is when you curl off a screen or you come off of a DHO and the defender is behind you, trailing, going over the screen, as the offensive player comes off of that screen and curls and the defender rolls to the basket, you're basically playing 2-on-1 in the paint because the style of defense means that the guys in the corner, the defenders are going to stay on their man, and everything is kind of funneled towards Ryan Kalkbrenner in the middle. And the bet that Creighton is making is that he is going to be able to defend the paint against two guys coming at him better than you are going to be able to score in a 2-on-1 situation. Uh, More or less daring you to beat them with kind of tough twos and mid-range jumpers and kind of the in-between stuff, right? The floaters, the runners, all that kind of stuff. And McNeely was really, really, really good in those situations last night. I think he was 7 for 12 from two, got to the free throw line a bunch. But it was the threes that he made in the second half. There was the two in a row that he hit. It felt like UConn was stuck in a stalemate. It was 46-45 forever. And then McNeely comes down and bangs three on one side. They get a stop. They come down in transition, bangs three on the other side. Timeout Creighton, come down, turnover, and then he gets a dunk to make it 53-46. Um, he made so many big shots. I think he had 18 points in the last 11 minutes of that game. And it was special, man. It was a truly, truly, truly special performance. One that was going to be as memorable for UConn fans as Solo Ball's 29-point performance in the Fiserv Forum when UConn won at Marquette a couple of what was that, a week and change ago. So there's a couple things that this goes to show me when it comes to this UConn team and what they can be this season and what kind of damage they can do this season, right? Um, UConn has now won at Creighton and at Marquette. If it wasn't for 22 turnovers and a couple of missed shots, they could have beaten St. John's at home. And we talked about how important this three-game run was. And while losing that St. John's game is one that stings. Um, I do think that there are a couple of really good positives that you can take out. Look, they went 2-1 in the toughest three-game stretch that they have in the Big East part of their schedule, and they won the two road games, which is kind of ridiculous. But there's a couple things that you could take out of it. One, they have two guys that can go out and win a game all on their own, and we knew this already, right? We saw Liam go for 26 and 7 assists with no turnovers against Gonzaga. We saw the performance that he had against Baylor. Solo Ball went supernova and won that game at Marquette for them, right? It was the Solo Ball game, the Solo Ball masterclass. And UConn has two guys that can completely take over a game themselves. One of them as a shooter, and frankly, I know that McNeely scored 38 points last night, but he can also do it as a distributor. We've seen him be a guy that gets 7 assists without turning the ball over in back-to-back games. We saw him on Tuesday night be a guy that Dan Hurley said, "All right, I'm going to run you at the point. My starting point guard is so banged up he can barely walk up and down the floor. My backup point guard has not been as effective as we need him to be. The third string guy is a freshman that is still kind of learning the position. Um, yeah, so come on, Liam, let's go. You're running the point for us." And he he just goes for 38 points and 10 rebounds. How about that, right? First game as a point guard for the defending back-to-back national champions. It was not something that you should take lightly and not something that you should underrate when it comes to what he did last night. Sorry for the people listening at home. I just took another sip of coffee because, like I said, I'm on like 4 hours of sleep right now trying to get this thing done. But so not only does UConn have two players on their roster that can go out and can win a game all on their own by going nuts, I think we've seen the three best defensive performances from the Huskies in back-to-back games against the three best opponents that they're going to face in the Big East this season. And I don't, it's not like they're doing anything different, right? It's not like you're getting anything tricky. It's not like they're switching up defenses. There are some tweaks from game to game, like they were doubling Ryan Kalkbrenner when he touched the ball in the post. They were a little bit more aggressive tagging rollers and kind of daring specific guys to shoot threes. So like there's some game to game stuff where they are kind of playing to the matchups just a little bit more than they have in the past. But for the most part, it's more just UConn all these guys individually are playing better defensively, and that sounds simplistic, and that sounds like something where I'm making an excuse because I don't really see what's happening, and that could be the truth. Maybe I just don't understand what specifically is going on down there. But I generally have a decent feel for what teams are trying to do when I watch a game. And I think what is happening right now with UConn is that they are just playing better on the defensive end of the floor. It's twofold. One, they are not getting beat on as many straight line drives, right? Instead of having guys go right by you and make a layup, the guys playing defense are catching up a little bit more, and they're beating them to a spot, and it's not as easy just kind of squaring you up and saying, "I'm going to go to the rim." Boom, two dribbles, got a layup. So that matters. The other part of it is that they're much better right now on the defensive glass. A lot of that has to do with Liam McNeely coming back. He has 19 defensive rebounds in the two games since he has been back in the lineup. Solo Ball had five more defensive rebounds tonight. They were the two leading defensive rebounders for UConn in this game. Alex Karaban has been better defensively than he was early in the season. For all the struggles that he has shooting right now, a lot of the rest of the stuff that he's doing on the floor is actually better than it's been at the start. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Terrace here in just a second, but I'm sorry, Alex here. I've been here in just a second, but it's the defense is definitely taking a step forward as well. So you got two guys that can win a game for you all by themselves. You have a defense that is much more improved versus what it was for a stretch in the middle of the season. And the other part of it is right now, Alex Karaban and Hassan Diar are essentially ineffective. And Haas was one of the best point guards in the Big East for the first 6 to 8 weeks of the season. And now he's dealing with the knee thing and he's trying to fight through it. And frankly, he probably shouldn't be playing. And to be honest, if Aiden Mahaney had been 90% of what he thought he was going to be coming in from St. Mary's, Haas probably wouldn't be playing right now. I think getting McNeely back and going up against a team that doesn't force turnovers is why Haas moved to the bench and only played 8 minutes tonight. I would be surprised if he played against Seton Hall, just because Seton Hall, even if it's on the road, is a game that UConn should be winning even without their starting point guard. Um, and Caravan is he's a shell of himself right now as a shooter. So that's the thing I want to be specific about here because I I knew what his line was heading into the rewatch of this game, and I was one of the things I was thinking. Not only I wanted to see what Liam McNeely did and how he scored because I didn't see every single one of the baskets when it was happening live because I was on the broadcast, but I wanted to really focus on what Karaban was doing outside of just shooting, and he was 5 for 7 from 2 point range. He got into the lane and hit floaters over Ryan Kalkbrenner consistently. He hit the what will go into the book as the game-winning shot with 1 minute and 43 seconds left. It's tied at 65. He comes off of a curl. He gets to his little that little right-hand floater and makes a shot over Karaban that put UConn up 67-65. That will go down as the game-winning shot there, right? Um, he did that probably 4 times really, really well getting to the lane. I don't remember him missing one of those. The first basket was an offensive rebound. Where he's struggling right now is when he has time to catch it. Like if he's just making a play, reacting and going and relying on his natural instincts and natural ability, that's when he is effective. That's on the defensive end of the floor. That is coming off of a curl and making a shot. That is going to get an offensive rebound and making a layup. Like when he's just out there hooping, he is good. The problem is when he has a second to think about it, right? If it's a catch and shoot three, you're standing there waiting for the ball to get to you, and then you're releasing it, and it's in your head. I'm 3 for my last 28, or 2 for my last 28 from three, 4 for my last 37 from three, right? It's in his head. Oh no, I came back to school and I completely destroyed my NBA draft stock and my life is ruining my career. Like that's probably what's going on in his head. When he gets to the free throw line, oh shit, I'm back at the free throw line. I just missed the two that could have tied the game at Villanova. Like that's a difficult thing to have running through your head when you are a shooter and when you are a basketball player and when you need to be able to go out there with confidence and make plays. When he is just out there playing and not thinking about it, he is making shots, he's making plays defensively, he's tough, he's rebounding the ball, he's doing a lot of the stuff that made Karaban such a good role player and such a good piece on back-to-back national championship teams. And then when he has to sit there and think about what he's doing, that's when he's not making the shots. And there's the one thing, and this stood out to me watching it more than anything else in this entire game. Here's what I took away more than anything else. There was a possession there. UConn's up 45 or down 45-40, right? And Karaban gets open, I think, on the right wing, shoots a three, misses the three. UConn gets an offensive rebound. I think it was Jalen Stewart that came up with the offensive rebound and kicks it back out to Karaban, who is now on the left wing. Shoots a three, misses a three. And then they scramble forward, and I believe it was Terrace Reed comes up with the next offensive rebound. The ball gets kicked out to someone and swung to Alex. And as Alex catches it, you can see if you go look at the sideline, look at Hurley, you can see Hurley going, shoot it, shoot it, shoot it. And Karaban shoots it. Third three in the span of about 10 seconds, misses it again. And as he's running back on defense, you can see Dan walking back down and clapping. Like he wants Alex taking those shots. He wants him shooting those shots like he is Alex fucking Karaban. And I think I don't think it should be overlooked that after those two shots missed, right? UConn is playing without Terrace Reed. I believe no. Terrace, I think, picked up his fourth a second later. But either way, they're about to have this situation where they don't have Terrace Reed and they don't have Samson Johnson, and then they go on a 13-1 run with Karaban on the floor, with Karaban playing the five, with Karaban having to deal with Kalkbrenner in the post. Hurley still has faith in them. Hurley still has confidence in him. His teammates still have confidence in him. Not a single one of them had like bad body language when Karaban took that third three on possession in a game where he hadn't made a three in a 6-week stretch where it feels like he hasn't made a shot since the Georgetown game. So everybody else there has the faith in him to keep shooting. He is going to keep shooting, and I think all he needs to see is one or two of them go in, and you're going to have an eruption here at some point. Hopefully that comes at Seton Hall because he's really got to get it going. But if you can tell me this, Liam McNeely, solo ball, playing the way that they've been, McNeely playing the way he's played the last couple of games. Maybe not 38, but a threat to get you 20, 25 in a given night. Solo ball, threat to get you 20, 25 in a given night. Haas finds a way to get healthy. Karaban finds a way to make some shots. and UConn can guard the way that they've been guarding the last 3 games, that is a team that can make some noise in March. Now, I don't know if there's enough there to really feel confident against some of the like an Auburn or an Alabama or a Duke or even a Florida, like the Houston, the top 5, 6, 7 teams in college basketball this year are really, really good. But I will say that I am I feel very good about this team finding a way to make noise somehow. Maybe they end up as a 7 seed and knock off a 2. Maybe they end up as an 8 seed and find a way to, take the 1 seed to the buzzer, right? Maybe they end up as a 6 seed and get to the elite. Whatever it is, I feel good about this team being able to put themselves in a position to make a run and do some damage. We've seen stranger things happen than a 6 seed win a national championship. I don't know. I don't think this team has the horses or right now, frankly, the health to really sit here and say, I think they can win a national championship, but they are starting to get to they're peaking at the right time. And if you're going to tell me that Dan Hurley is peaking at the right time, that's something where I'm going to ride with it. Last thing I just want to say before we end this thing and I get to the last night's After Dark segment on UConn. Hurley talking to the crowd saying 2 rings, 2 rings, 2 rings, right? That's the stuff that I love about him. That kind of brashness, that braggadociousness, the shit talking, he goes into the press conference and he's got his like minute long soliloquy and he ends it with, I wish there were more of the fans in here when I was leaving, right? That's whenever I walk out of here, they're all yelling at me and it's completely packed. When I walk out of here, there's no fans in here, right? He called somebody baldy as he was walking off the court, like he isn't the Hurley with the worst head of hair in the entire family. Like he's out of his mind. And that right there is the stuff that UConn fans as a fan base are going to adore and love about him. That's the kind of stuff that's going to make them say he's one of us. That's the kind of stuff that is going to uh, get them to treat him like the Secret Service treats the president whenever he is in the state. And it's when he can when that is who he is and that is how the intensity manifests itself and that is how the competitiveness manifests itself, it's it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. UConn does things like go on the road into Omaha and knock off Creighton after all their fans had been chirping. So um, hell of a win. 2-1 in the stretch where you're at Marquette, home for St. John's, at Creighton. I don't think that you can ask for much more than that, to be completely transparent. Seton Hall on Saturday on the road. Then you get Villanova at home. So you got a chance here to really build some momentum and some confidence heading into a game against the Johnnies in the Garden, which hopefully will be a tune-up for what could end up being a semifinal or final game in the Big East tournament. So without further ado, I got to go catch my flight. I got to go edit this podcast. And now you're going to hear some audio from last night's episode of After Dark from Rupp Arena with Jeff Goodman, Randolph Childress, and myself. If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM Sportsbook. We're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 throughout the year. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can use bonus code FIELD, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. The best part, all you need to do is deposit and bet $10 of your own hard-earned money to be eligible. Here's how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using that bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure that you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. BetMGM is going to have some fun offers available throughout the NBA playoffs. Bet insurance tokens, odds boost, and what I love, a nice parlay boost or two from time to time, as well as a ridiculous array of player prop bets for any sport that you could possibly imagine betting on. BetMGM is and always will be the king of the prop bet. So go download the BetMGM app, use the bonus code FIELD, and sign up today. And while I've got you, a quick request. The best way to support the Field of of 68 content that you get for free is to engage with us. Rate and review the podcast. Like and share the YouTube videos. Tell your friends about us. It all helps in a world where the algorithm is king. And now, back to the show. Now that the college basketball season is in full swing, you need to make sure that you have access to the best betting tool on the market, the Rhythm app. Spelled RITHMN, is a data-backed app that uses AI and analytics to identify inefficiencies in betting lines and the player prop market that will allow you, the user, to profit. You can create customized, analytics-driven betting models tailored to your personal preferences as a bettor. Users have access to up-to-the-second against-the-spread data. And if you're like me and you understand pictures better than numbers on a screen, Rhythm's internal trend analysis provides you with the kind of graphs that will allow you to evaluate past results and project future performance in a visual way. Every Division I college basketball team is included in the Rhythm's metrics. Free subscribers to the Field of 68 Daily will get 25% off for a Rhythm subscription. Use the QR code on the screen to sign up or download at the link in the description. Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark Afters here on a Tuesday night from, actually, technically, it is a Wednesday morning from Rupp Arena, Lexington, Kentucky. We're joined by Randolph Children.
It's only 11:58.
Oh, so it's not yet.
No,
so give me 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes and we're going to be there.
As usual. It's been a rough show for me.
You're inaccurate. It's been a rough show for me. I had a flight canceled. What should have been a 3-hour travel day turned into a 10-hour travel day.
At least you didn't lose your wallet for the third time in 6 months.
That is true. At least I didn't do that.
That might have been me.
Yeah, it does sound like a you problem. We're going to be here about 15 minutes. We're going to answer some of your questions. We're going to talk about the top 3 teams in the country all going on the road. But before we do that, UConn Huskies go into Omaha and knock off the team that's really had their number. Greg McDermott has had Dan Hurley's number not just this season,
the whole run,
but throughout his run in the Big East. And there's a reason for that. I'm going to tell you guys about it in a second. But Liam McNeely, 38 points, 12 for 22 from the floor, 5 for 10 from 3, 10 rebounds in 38 minutes. He was unbelievable. UConn was down by as many as 16 points in the first half and came back to win. Randolph, go ahead, take it away. Say all the nice things about my Huskies for me.
I don't have any. No, listen, I will say this. I thought they were done. I just seemed like Creighton had their number. And Liam McNeely, my gosh, he played like the best freshman out of Montverde, even though we know that's a ridiculous statement to say. Defensively, man, they cracked it. I thought they were in trouble only because Reed.
For the people that don't get that joke, Liam McNeely and Cooper Flagg were high school teammates. That's the joke for the people listening at home. Great joke, right, Randall?
Reed and Johnson got in foul trouble. Yeah.
RC didn't even acknowledge your dumb joke.
he just blew right past it.
At first, I was like, I'm not even dealing with that. We're not even doing that. We all got to acknowledge the Cooper Flagg is the real deal. But no, when Reed and Johnson got in foul trouble early, I thought this game could get out of reach. And for that type of performance, for McNeely to play the way he played, he had to play that way or they weren't winning the game, right? He had to show up, big shots, make plays the way he did. Karaban didn't play poorly, but he didn't play great offensively. 38-10, man. I mean, on the road, that's big time. That's star material there, man. You got to give him his credit. When they weren't at their best in a place they just hadn't had much success, that seems like they had their number, and they were down big early, man. Showed the heart of a champion, and just shows that if they can get healthy, this is only McNeely's second game back. If they can get healthy, then they got a chance. They got a chance.
That's what's amazing. You just said it. It's his second game back. He's a freshman who missed a good chunk of the season.
5 weeks.
5 weeks. He comes back and puts 38 and 10 and carries the two-time defending, and I know they're not the two-time defending national champs in terms of the team, but still, they have the target on their back. They have the pressure on them. This kid is unflappable. He's tough. He is a Dan Hurley type of dude. You can tell how much they missed him. And now, he gives them a chance. If they can get Karaban back and his head on straight now, they got a chance. They got a chance to beat just about anybody.
I think he did a great job, Rob. It's defensively they have to keep the bigs in for rim protection. They need to keep them on the floor. I think to they're not as good on the perimeter defensively as they were in the last couple of years, and that's okay. And Jeff, they are the two-time defending champion. And even though this team may not be as talented as those teams were, they are mentally. You got to give them enough respect because mentally they're carrying the pressure and the expectations of all the repeat top 5 preseason team. So they're deserving to be in that conversation. And getting McNeely back shows you when they're whole, they still carry that confidence and the swagger. Like, yo, this is ours until we get the throne.
Yeah. Does it surprise you how dominant McNeely can be and that he can carry this team? Did you ever see a situation where he was going to be this guy? Where Karaban was going to be struggling.
Well, I never saw a situation where Karaban was going to be struggling. Karaban's 1 for his last 22 from 3 and 2 for his last 20. Like
the last time he did that was when his finger was screwed up.
Yeah, he's so. But he is just so. He missed the front end of a free throw. Like this started before the missed free throw against Villanova. Like he's just
overthinking.
What happened was, and this is just my theory, but what happened was, is Liam McNeely went out. And Alex Karaban is built to be a complementary piece. He's not built to be the go-to guy. So that when he got thrust into those go-to guy minutes and roles and possessions in a different role in the offense, it kind of messed with him. And now he's pressing. And now he's like, I just screwed up my NBA draft stock. I just screwed up my life. I just screwed up my career. I can't make a shot. And everything is just between the ears right now. And I think getting McNeely back to be able to have somebody that can take that pressure off of them and set them up for easy shots is something that's going to be big. We saw this coming with McNeely early on. After UConn got back from Maui, from that point until when McNeely got injured, he was so clearly UConn's best player that it wasn't even a conversation. And I think this was a continuation of that. The matchup for Creighton favored him. I said before the game that if UConn was going to win, they needed McNeely to have a big game because what Creighton does is they play that deep drop. They go over every screen, like really overemphasize it, and then all they want is someone going to the middle to try to play those 2-on-1s, RC, and try to score over Kalkbrenner. And that's what McNeely can do. He can come off those curls. He can come off those DHOs. He can get into those actions in the paint where it's like, all right, make a floater, throw a pass, spray it out to a shooter, and then he also knocked down some threes. So I didn't see him going for 38. I thought he was going to have a big night tonight.
But a big night you thought would be like 20, 22.
Yeah. If he had like 18 and 6, I would have been like,
oh,
man, McNeely is back, baby.
he was always a
20
guy.
On top of that.
He was always a guy. Like he never – and again, obviously at Montverde, he had other guys, but he was not that guy that was thirsty, that was going for 30 or 40 in AAU ball. That wasn't his game.
You weren't recruiting him to be a bucket getter. You were recruiting him because he did everything. Right. And I don't know, Randolph, I don't know if you saw him do anything like this. I don't remember him having a blow
Guys, let's be honest. It's not that this isn't even doing UConn's championship runs the last 2 years. They never relied on a guy giving them 38 to get a game done.
I wonder what
that's just the way they play.
Yeah. I wonder who went for – did anybody go for 38 in the last 2 years? I don't think so. Nobody did. Right?
I can't remember anybody having, going.
Yeah, there wasn't. I don't think Tristan I want to say had like 29 in the loss at Kansas.
I wonder what
the whole
balance.
The whole reason they were so good is because you couldn't just pick someone out and they ran their offense.
You couldn't pick on one guy, and like you said, Karaban struggled because he shot to the top of the scouting report, and now everybody's focusing on him when he was a guy on the scouting report. McNeely comes back now, talent-wise, he shoots to the top of the scouting report. But what was so impressive about this game today? They got nothing from their bench production-wise scoring. I think they got 4 points from their bench, and they had to have
played 7 minutes.
He's
hurt. He's obviously hurt badly. We saw that DR played 7 minutes, is hurt, and they still won at Creighton, one of the toughest places to play in the entire country.
Yep.
This just looked like, hey, we needed to have you. Yeah. And McNeely was like, get on my back, I got you. And he carried. And that's what it looked like.
Yeah. Diarra is
they need to shut him down.
Yeah, he needs a couple of weeks to kind of get right. And I think that what happened was once McNeely got hurt, as he's dealing with it, so like you got to suck it up and you got to play, and then we can figure it out afterwards. But credit to him, man. He's been fighting through it. If Diarra comes back,
and Karaban ever finds a way to be able to
Yeah,
get going,
they can beat anybody.
they got a chance because
So much of it.
they have been so much better on the defensive end in like the last probably 2 weeks or so. There's been a real
Jordan Hawkins, we forget. I know he had a 30-point game before.
But I don't think he ever went for 38.
Yeah,
Right? He might have gone for
No, 38.
30.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Who was it? Our producer Dagan Hughes just said 31 is the most that anyone scored in the last
Tristan
2 years.
Newton had 31 against Kansas in 2023, and Hawkins had 31 against St. John's.
There you go.
Yep.